Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, tonight we're starting, this is grand jury number 4. Tonight we're going to deal with things that are a little more specific. We'll be dealing with some of the actual paperwork or some of the results of some of the fitna over the last few years to kind of give a picture of what we've been dealing with. The first thing I'm going to do is read a timeline of events. That's for 2013 and part of 2014, just really up to April, so that's not really, in fact, this covers a year. 4/23/13, abdul-alim, that is my grandson, Imam Musa's grandson, is assassinated by functionaries of security apparatus, the FBI and the OPD. Now, do y'all remember that I have showed you some of the paperwork? This is when about 6:20 a.m. Monday, Terrell Reams, 23, Stockton, was found dead. The main thing here is 6 a.m. Monday, 6:20 a.m. That's Khadijah and Mukhtar called here, our time, at 2:05. Do y'all remember me showing you those documents?
Yeah, with the call records?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, 2:05. And I think I called them back at 2:10. The only thing about that is that it's, what is that, 5 or 7 hours? That's 7 hours. If we give our time change, because we're 3 hours different. They found them at 6:20 a.m. their time, and they're calling us at 2:05 DC time. Then that means they are 5, 6, 7 or 8 hours ahead of time, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't have to say no more. How would they know that my son, his grandson, has been shot or dead if they didn't do it? It's just that simple, you know. And it's on the 23rd. Now, I had returned here on the 23rd. Technically, I returned here the night of the 22nd. But by the time they called me a few hours later, it was 2:05 our time, and it was 11:30. It was it was 11 something their time. So they called me. When they called me, it was 11 o'clock.
It's still previous day.
Yeah, it's the previous day. But they said on the 23rd, this is what the newspapers say. I have several little clippings on the newspaper, but this one actually had the time. The other one had the date, but this had the time. 6:20 a.m. when he's found. Okay, Imam Musa, 9/4/13. Imam Musa denied re-entry into the U.S. on flight 207, Johannesburg, South Africa, to Washington, D.C. The tour in South Africa sponsored by IPCI, Islamic Propagation Center International, and Rauf, Refocus and Upliftment Foundation. That's a drug treatment center that we opened, and now it's spread all around the country, and they called me back. Let's say we started at 7. When I was going to South Africa a lot, I gave several lectures, and a few of them was on drugs. They was just starting this big drug problem they was having. So we started this. I said, number one, it shouldn't be like any of the other drug treatment programs. It should be, it's multifaceted. It has a Sufi treatment, you go where you do dhikr and pray and all that. So there's different facets of it. And you can kind of choose the part that fits you best. Since the Muslims of South Africa tend a little bit toward tasawwuf, toward Sufism, it was perfect for them. They had feeding programs. I might have showed y'all pictures where they feed little Negroes and all that. It was good. So they were celebrating. That's where those big pictures come from. Welcome, Imam, Musa, welcome. Do y'all remember those? They're like, you'd think I was running for president. You know, these big banners. The banners was covering the whole room, half of the room. All kind of people there, white people, the Muslims, everybody. Because it's open to everybody. But it's funded only by the Muslims. It's not a governmental program or nothing like that. They might have a masjid out in a small town, not a small masjid, the small towns out there have big masajid, you know, because of the way the Muslims are spread out all over the country. Anyway, it was a wonderful experience. But in this lecture, this series of lectures, I talked about drugs as being oppressive, and they're a tool of oppressors. And I told them about our experience here in the United States, that it's used as a tool of oppression, and that's what it's being used for. I said, there's no progress as long as drugs is in your neighborhood. You cannot, there's a one sure way of your country not progressing. It's loaded up with drugs. And they got they got more kind of drugs in South Africa because it's a modern state, you know what I mean? They got all kind of fuzzy-wuzzy drugs and, man, fake marijuana that people be tripping. So they got up-to-date stuff. They can match the U.S. in any kind of skullduggery, but it's stopping the progress of the nation. It's one of those anchors that hold the community down. Anyway, I'm going to speed up. The message, drug-free society. In fact, I might have showed some newspaper clippings, and I don't know if y'all remember. Drug-free society or no economic or social progress. Host declared it the most successful tour by foreign guests. They said that tour was the most successful. I don't know if you remember, it was a booklet they put out. Yes. They sent me a booklet, and it had graphs and scales, how many lectures, how many attendees, you know, like a big sales graph, you know. We entered the market here, we did this, and you know, all those bars and scales. They had all the towns visited, schools spoken at. So I spoke at Masjid and I spoke at black school. I spoke at Muslim schools, mostly Indian, packed with people. Some of them were probably scheduled to be the next doctors. You know, that's the way they roll. A lot of the black schools and the black kids could. I was really reaching them, you know what I mean? I could tell. I was really reaching the black kids. First of all, they was happy to see teachers that were not African being mesmerized by an African. It was good all the way. In fact, when I got back here, I asked Sakina and Fatima if they wanted to adopt a school. It was one school there, all girls. There's 250 students. So I looked at them and everything, and now, they was wearing hijab and everything, but they were not Muslims. Now, because it was a Muslim school. So they're getting good curriculum and all that. I looked at the shoes and I looked at everything, and I was adding up in my head. By Christmas time, which I could go back to the U.S., raise $10,000 or $15,000, which is nothing to us. Come back here, maybe bring Sakina and Fatima, and we would sponsor them. Each one of them get to spend $100 on themselves, or $200, whatever it is, And when I told the people there, the host, don't do that, don't do that. I said, why not? What was the root of it? They didn't want any kids there to see black people helping other black kids. That's the core reason. Whatever other reason, no, they won't, all that should be spent on education. I said, self-image. If you're a self-image, I said, if you got little raggedy shoes on and you a girl, it's a girl's school. I said, you spend $100, it'll improve their behavior and learning ability, $2,000 each. I mean, I was just putting it in terms they understood. Self-image, right? You feel valuable, you feel someone cares about you. That stuff, man, is so big, it's a shame. But since they're Indian, they didn't understand that. But anyway, I'm going to get on, hurry up and read.
They didn't understand it for them. I mean,
they didn't
I'm
understand.
sure they understand it for themselves.
Yeah, they would understand it for themselves, how valuable self-image is. But they didn't want me to, and they did everything they could to sabotage it. No, they wasn't playing. That's why they held me up at the airport coming back. They held me up for 2 days. I left the airport and came back. Then they was going to hold me up longer. The U.S. Embassy, they said, do not board this man. So I said, you're denying me the right to re-enter the country? They said, no, we just have the right to keep you off that plane. So the second time I'm in the airport, I just started loud talking. I said, fine. I tell the guy, I said, get on the internet, get me a ticket, Johannesburg, Rio de Janeiro, Mexico City, Tijuana, and I'll walk across the border. See, I did those flights before, reverse in drug dealing. So I knew them like the back of my hand. So get me a ticket. South Africa, Joburg, Rio, Mexico City, and Mexico City, Tijuana. You know, right on the border. Then the guy said, he got on the phone, I think we might be able to put you on. I said, good for you then. Anyway, 12-113, I'm going to speed up. Oakland program psychological guerrilla warfare has worked. Mukhtar and Khadijah went ballistic with unsubstantiated allegations and accusations against Imam Musa. They were supported by a collection of local misfits and druggies, both dealers and users. The more Imam Musa proved his case against the NSA, FBI, and TASC, and Oakland Police Department, this produced inflammatory statements from Mukhtar and Khadijah, who should have been happy with Imam Musa's statements of clarification. In other words, what I'm dealing with, the more I make my case, the madder they get. Which clearly, no, you wrong. I said, I'm wrong on what, the police? I said, one thing about it, y'all ain't had no experience with them like I have. So anyway, third outburst by Khadijah and Mukhtar, purpose to destabilize Friday prayers. Mukhtar steals zakat box after Jummah. Now this has never happened at a masjid. People might have tried to get some money out of a zakat box, but Mukhtar stole the zakat box and run off with it. And then called me and said, yeah, it wasn't but $66 in there. I said, you can't steal those cotton money. I don't care what it is. Okay. Repeat of COINTEL program. 1, disruption and discord. That's what they want to do. Creating doubts about the wisdom of supporting As-Sabiqun movement. 3, trying to cause defections. 4, questioning the use of community money. That's what Mukhtar said. Beating Imam Musa's son with a stick at Juma prayer during son recovery from his stroke. Mukhtar and Khadijah placed several of these episodes on YouTube. They were on TV, right?
Yes, yes. They were
Now,
on YouTube, yep.
Have any of you ever heard of an imam given khutbah, come down and beat somebody with a stick during the khutbah?
Yeah.
First of all, you're not supposed to do any fitna like that in the masjid. You know, you can't, if you're going to attack people, you have to attack them. If you're going to do punishment, you can't do it in the masjid. You have to do it outside. Okay, 1-2-14. Break-ins of Imam Musa's house, 25,000 in cash stolen. All records, notes, and receipts documenting Oakland branch financial transactions stolen. All of it. Copiers, duplicators, and computers, all gone. That was at my house where I stayed. I had my office in the back. And I'd have, just like I do it, I have folders and I have all kind of, I had tons of articles, DVDs, CDs, everything that you have in a big office. I had it loaded with that. All the Sabiquns, everything you could name. So they stole 25,000 in cash, all records, notes, and receipts. They stole all the receipts relating to Oakland. And I could tell because they would say, you only spent $3,000 on that kitchen. That's what Mukhtar would say. After break-in, Mukhtar goes to Secretary of State in California, armed with all official numbers, you know, of all our legal work. He attempts to change all official papers to Masjid al-Islam from this name. January, break-in. Another 25,000 cash stolen. You might wonder why. Why would anybody keep all that kind of money around? First of all, I just put 25,000 here, but it's technically 50 each one. I didn't just want to sound like a damn fool. Did you for that? And you ain't that bad? Don't worry about it. 10,000 copies, DVDs, and CD duplicators, all that's gone. 4 flat tires on the van that I showed y'all pictures of the van. Cost $500. Same interruptions of a wonderful educational inspirational program. Repeat of unsubstantiated accusations. That's 1/2014. Mukhtar calls Oakland police on both of Imam Musa's sons at 8006 MacArthur Boulevard. He opens the door for police, giving the police probable cause in case of finding of illegal substances such as drugs or guns. Nothing illegal was found. Guard dogs were impounded. This is before he shot him. 2/21/14. Actually, I'm only going this far, up to April 2000. If I kept it, I would be here all night. Each year. This is 2014. Mukhtar shoots and kills guard dogs. Okay, I'll read about that later. Mukhtar had publicly threatened to shoot Imam Musa's sons. The police fully cooperated with Mukhtar by not treating 8006 as a crime scene. When the dogs were shot, they didn't have no yellow tape. They had everybody could just walk in and out.